Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a special edition of Litter Media Live. I'm Mike Smith. Joining us today, Chillicothe Mayor Luke Feeney, to talk about some city business, some things that are going on, and things we can look forward to as we approach the holidays. Brought to you today by Classic Brands. Back with Mayor Luke Feeney right after this. Mayor Feeney back with us on a special edition of Litter Media Live as we approach the holiday season. First of all, of course, with Thanksgiving coming up here shortly. We want to talk about that, but before we get into the pleasantries, let's talk about some of the infrastructure things. It looks like most of the paving is done throughout the city.
Yeah, I think we're done with the major paving for the city this year. Massive joint project with ODOT this year. You saw Eastern Avenue, a little bit of Bridge Street, Main Street, Western Avenue, probably definitely the biggest paving project since I've been around. Because on top of that, we did our standard city paving, which was quite a few side streets this year. You might see some construction here and there. We have a couple final stormwater projects we want to get tidied up. As a reminder for folks, the paving season has a lot to do with temperature and when asphalt plants can be open. And so some years we're able to get projects done a little bit later into the year. And if we can do that this year, we will. But that's more small one-off projects, $10,000, $20,000 to fix some drainage programs. But the biggest, the lion's share of the work is done for the year.
And I promise this is the last time I'll ask this question for the next several years, as I've just got it solidified. The underground Columbia gas line work, that's a several-year project.
That's correct. So that is, one way to think about it is Columbia Gas is a private company, and they have their own infrastructure needs, driven, as I understand it, mostly by safety. And so across the state or their service area, they have identified areas that need gas line replacements. Mm-hmm. And so we work with them to coordinate when those happen. They kind of give us a list. This is what needs to happen. This is what they're planning on fixing. And if we're doing our job well, we're able to coordinate and come in and pave after them where they're not cutting up, which is, for example, last year they did a lot of Main Street and Paint Street work, and this year we did the paving. That's when coordination is happening really well. And so we would expect to see work from them continuing over the next several years.
Some of the, and I can think of one place in particular, it's where you're going down onto Riverside, but I think you're still on North Mulberry, where the brick part of the street, there's 2 or 3 sunken places. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know those streets are very, very old. Mm-hmm. Is there a fix for those, or?
Yeah, so we actually, probably 6 years ago now, redid some of that brick. The problem there, we think, is the subsurface, and the cause for that could be a variety of causes. It could be something related to, at one point there was a gas or water or sewer line repair, and something wasn't compacted or something along those lines. The good news is Mulberry Street is currently in the scope to be repaired as a part of the Appalachian Community Grant Project. Little interesting tidbit, there is a law in Chillicothe that says if there's a brick street downtown today, it can never be paved over. Wow. That's an existing law. So Mulberry will be brick until that law changes. And a couple years ago, 2nd Street, we milled it, getting ready to repave it, and we actually left it unpaved for about a year to see how that would go. We ended up paving it because the cost to repair a brick street is significantly different from that of a paved road. And so we repaved it. It's just little things that happen, but when you mill down and then you get to the brick, all of a sudden you have curbs that are 6 inches too high, that sort of thing. So just little things that you learn along the way.
Staying with traffic for a while, before the decision was made to take out some of the downtown traffic lights and put 4-way stops in, there was a lot of, well, this is not going to work. We did this 50 years ago. Now that it's been a year or two, How's it working?
Well, I'd like to say it's working exactly how we expected it would. That type of decision and the methodology we use to make decisions like that is based first and foremost on safety. Mm-hmm. And the main intersection that we're talking about here is the intersection of Paint and 2nd Street. So two things happened at once. One is that 2nd Street went from one-way to two-way, and then the other was removing that traffic light at that intersection, making it a four-way stop. It's sometimes counterintuitive, but a four-way stop without a traffic light can actually be safer for pedestrians. Mm-hmm. The easiest way I can describe it is that when you're stopping at a traffic light, your line of vision is up. And when you're stopping at a stop sign, your line of vision is basically at the height of a pedestrian. That's one of the reasons it's safer. Or can be safer. Lots of factors go in, one of which is traffic volume. So we did traffic counts. Two-way streets also are oftentimes safer than one-way streets that have two lanes because they slow down traffic. And so we have not had any significant injuries, any significant accidents. And aesthetically, in my opinion, it's a lot cleaner looking and nicer looking. And so in the future, we still have 4th and 5th Street downtown that are one way. And particularly when you think about the Historical Society on 5th Street, and there's bed and breakfast there now. Navigating one-way streets when you're not from an area can be challenging. And we're doing everything we can to make all of Chillicothe a welcoming place for visitors. So I think in the future, considering the two-way aspect for both 4th and 5th Street makes sense too.
Yeah, it seems from what I've experienced just driving through the downtown thus far, it seems like everybody's caught on rather quickly.
Very quickly. I think that it's safe to say that people don't like change. Mm-hmm. And it is sometimes challenging for us as a city to convey all of the hours and research that goes into a decision like that. People go to school and are professional planners. They're professional traffic engineers. And while we might have our armchair opinions about a roundabout or a four-way stop or something like that, there are professionals and there's research done that shows the data can show what is safest or not. And so we don't make any decisions in the city that we know are going to be less safe. Mm-hmm. And in this situation, we made a decision that we believed would be more safe and benefit downtown, and it has. There's conversation. Many people have seen the proposal to put in roundabouts as a part of the Appalachian Community Grant, different areas near the park, Paint and Water Street being one of the biggest ones. I am opinionless when it comes to roundabouts, but what I believe in is safety and research and data and making sure we make the right decisions. And so if a roundabout is the thing that makes the most sense for traffic flow and pedestrian safety and that sort of thing, then I'll support it. Mm-hmm. But I always need to see the data. That's how we make our decisions. And so that proposal is not in front of City Council yet, but when it comes, the proposal that will be in front of them is what's safest for the community.
More than a year ago, the Ohio Department of Transportation announced that they are going to be doing a major multi-million-dollar, couple of year project to hopefully get Bridge Street squared away. Things change as far as time deadlines, start dates. Have you heard anything new on that?
Oh yeah, we are expecting, if it hasn't gone out to bid yet, mm-hmm. it'll go out to bid, I think, within the next 30 to 45 days. And I think we will see construction starting early next spring. And like you said, couple year project, because we're talking about additional lanes of traffic going north and south, sidewalk additions, a roundabout, mm-hmm. But really things that will address a significant portion of the traffic flow issues. We're just going to have some pain points in the meantime.
Was it my understanding that during the holidays, and I'm talking about Christmas, which would be Christmas 25, maybe even, I don't know if it's going to go that deep into 26, that they would suspend some of that work during that time?
Pretty close. So the way that the bid packet is going out is that during those periods of time, because of basically holiday shopping traffic, that sort of thing, that certain lanes have to be left open, at least during the day. I don't remember if it's the same during the evening, but it was a smart way for ODOT to bid that out to make sure that in the highest traffic points, traffic was not or was least restricted, because there will be times where there are entire lanes or even directions of traffic that I think there will be a point in time where we can't go south on a part of Bridge Street.
Right. Moving on to something other than traffic this morning, winter's just around the corner, and with that, maybe some snow. We've been fortunate, I guess, if you don't like snow, that we've had mild winters the last 2 years, but I know the city always has to prepare in case. So when does that preparation begin for the winter snow plowing, all that good stuff?
Sure. Well, the preparation began probably March of this year.
Right?
Oh yeah. We get on a collective purchasing agreement with ODOT, so we're able to order our salt pretty far in advance. And as a reminder, salt, we put it down because it affects the road temperature. You really need to get it down before the snow comes. It doesn't do a lot after the snow comes down. But this year in particular is exciting because we were able to secure a grant from the state of Ohio. And for the first time, we are going to construct, and actually just got the bids back within the last couple of weeks, on a salt shed. So over at Rennick Avenue, where you can do your yard waste, that's where we store our salt. But for all of time, it's been exposed to the elements. We are going to build a cover for that salt, which, the dollars are going to last longer. It's going to be better for the environment. And we are hopeful that can still get constructed this year. And so that is a portion of the preparation. And then truck maintenance and that type of thing happens year round, so that when we do get that first snow, we're not caught off guard.
The most of the snow plows that the city uses, do they have a dual purpose?
Yes. Yeah. So if it's it might be a dump truck or something that you can take the plow on and off. As much as we can with equipment, we like it to serve multiple purposes. And then we've got smaller things that it can go on the front of a pickup truck to get a parking lot, right?
And looking ahead, the Mayor Street does not get plowed first. There's a pecking order, and it has to do with elevation and what streets are the worst and all that stuff.
So when I first got into office, you get in office January 1st. And, the most pressing thing in the winter is, what is our plan for snow removal? And you're correct. What we tackle first, what we try to salt first, definitely, is the hills. And after the hills, we go to the main arterials. So you think your main streets and your bridge street, and we go down from there because we're trying to make it so that people can get to and from their places of employment, safety, that sort of thing. Now, this is somewhat interesting. There are theories around snow removal, and some countries even reverse that, and they do some side streets first, so they can get. They think that we need to get parents to get their kids to daycare first. So there's everything that we do. There's a theory around it, and we sort of buy into that theory. But for us, in particular, we're a town with some hills. We do not like to see vehicles sliding down those hills. So salting the hills first, keeping the hills clear, and then the major arterials from there.
I remember once last year, our producer, Aaron Glandon, lived up on the hill. I drove all the way in from Frankfurt. He's texting. He says, I think the hill's probably bad. I don't know if I can be in. I just said, I just drove by the bottom of Carlisle Hill. You've got pavement to drive on. I didn't even have it that good. So you guys were ahead of even what was being seen out in the county.
Yeah, we err on the side of even with snow, what I'll call preventative maintenance. Because if you get the salt down before the snow, it dramatically impacts the rest of the snow removal. It impacts the temperature of the pavement when the snow hits it, and then it makes the snow removal easier. Sometimes you hear people say, well, the snowplows haven't been out, or they haven't been on my street. Part of what happens is if the snow gets compacted, snowplows are not very effective. Right. Your plow is just gliding over a sheet of ice, and if it is anything other than snow, it's hard to scrape up. And so even though you might think, well, no snowplow's been out here, the fact is either A, it's been by and it hasn't been able to do anything, or B, it just got by too late, and it was already compacted.
Other than just granular salt, does the city use that brine that you see ODOT use?
We don't. I think there's a scale to that cost effectiveness, and so some places do. It's basically like a liquid salt mixture, and then other places, one thing that you can do. We don't keep enough. We don't keep it in stock, but you can also put down basically salt and grit material that would go on top of snow or ice to make traction better. But based on our mild winters the last few years, really getting ahead of the snow is our most effective means.
And to wrap things up with the holiday activities, a lot of visitors come into the downtown. Of course, they have the tree lighting ceremony. You've got Christmas open house, just a lot of different things that people can look forward to here over the next couple of months.
Yeah, the Christmas open house and downtown tree lighting, park tree lighting is just, it's an example of, I think, a great example of just one of the great things that's been happening in this community. It's organic. A group of volunteers comes together. They raise the money every year. We're happy to play a little bit part, a little bit of support, whether we're storing the lights or helping get them up or providing some electric. But just seeing the community come together, you would not believe. So the last couple of years, we've done a traffic count. You put those rubber things down on the road and traffic count. More than 60,000 cars last year through the park to see those lights. If I didn't know that was a fact with that traffic, I wouldn't believe it. But I think, they did the holiday light tour map for Ohio. We're on that map now. And every year there's a reinvestment, more money going into the project. So that's Friday night, the 22nd. Get downtown early. It's also downtown open house that weekend. There will be lots and lots of people. So get downtown, get a parking space. And I've heard many people say it's just like being in a Hallmark movie. So come down and enjoy it.
And you're talking about November 22nd.
November 22nd. That's right. Sorry.
I remember I don't know if it was the first year. I think it might have been when COVID the rules were just kind of being relaxed, and the streets downtown were packed with people milling around, and it was like people visiting with each other like, I haven't seen you in 20 years, and it's only been several months, but it was just so neat. People were just enjoying seeing their neighbors again.
I remember that well. It was almost magical. It really did, and I think it was a really temperate night where it wasn't too cold, and people had their hot chocolate, and kids were having fun, and Santa was there, so... Yeah, I think it's become a quintessential Chillicothe night.
And we're talking about this in our daily program coming up here in just a few moments, the Chillicothe Christmas lighting contest, home lighting contest. I think the deadline to get in on that is November the 20th. They announced the winners on December the 20th.
Yep, and we'll be doing trolley tours of the lights again this year. It was really I think every single trolley tour last year was sold out. Of course, we did it free last year, but it just a neat way to experience seeing Chillicothe's lights. And then, of course, we'll have the symphony again down this year. So Christmas time in Chillicothe is just a great time to be here.
Mayor, good to catch up with you.
Likewise.
Chillicothe Mayor Luke Feeney, our guest today on the special edition of Litter Media Live, brought to you by Classic Brands. I'm Mike Smith.